Welcome back in for the Blacksburg Buzz. Today we're talking about another disappointing performance against Duke. The Hokies once again could not come out on top. Utter chaos in the 28-31 loss. Duke able to score twice in their first 4 plays. Really ugly stuff from Virginia Tech. Overall, incredibly disappointing. And I've got some pretty strong feelings after this game. Before we get into the rest of it, let's talk about our video sponsor, BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, and college basketball to the NHL, UFC, and MMA. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. So Virginia Tech pulls up to Durham, and this game is a mess right from the start. First play of the game for Duke. Long touchdown to Pankol. So down 7-0. Looking at the TV, just finger hovering right over the power button. Oh boy, it's going to be a tough one. And Virginia Tech keeps that going. Really bad first drive, really bad second drive. Duke gets the ball back. And what happens? Couple more plays and another really long touchdown to Pankol. So you're about 9 minutes into the first quarter at this point. Duke has had possession for about 1 minute, give or take maybe 5 to 10 seconds, and Duke leads 14-0. The Hokies essentially helpless on the first several drives. Then they finally complete a deep pass to Allie Jennings, who would actually go on to have a monster night, kind of coming out of nowhere. We haven't really seen much of Allie Jennings this year, and he had a pretty big one, let's be honest. So Tech able to bring it back to 7-14. Oddly enough, you're feeling terrible about this game, but the scoreboard doesn't look as bad as it is at all. And this is when you really start getting into the chaos. Schlee gets hurt. You move to the redshirt freshman, Pop Watson, who hasn't attempted a pass this season. Schlee starting in the game because Kyron Drones is out, hurt with a leg injury. We think it's his knee. They haven't really told us, but Kyron Drones is out. Schlee is in, gets hurt. Now you're on Pop Watson. And he actually kind of starts balling out. Pop Watson had a good game, which we'll talk a lot more about later. One of the few bright spots of this game, or honestly, maybe one of the only bright spots. And Aiden Green is able to rush up the left sideline, ties it up early in the second quarter. Honestly, no clue what to think at this point in the game. Somehow it's 14-14. Duke has looked way better. The Hokies have looked pretty bad. Pop Watson, just a few plays into the game, not really sure what we're going to see out of him quite yet. And sort of just a real mixed bag here. Somehow, Tech is able to keep it going, knock a field goal in, make it 17-14, take the lead. Okay, very interesting here. And Duke goes right back to Pankol for touchdown 3 of the game. They drive up the field, get another one to him. 3 touchdowns in the first half for the same guy. Pretty incredible. Just a really dominant performance from him. Duke takes back the lead. Blue Devils in a solid spot. Just had to get the offense moving once again. So now, approaching the end of the second half, we get to some more Hokies shenanigans. Obviously, things didn't go well for Tech, as they never do near the end of a half. 24 seconds on the clock. Pop Watson starts feeling a lot of pressure in the pocket. 3 straight tackles for loss, 1 for 2 yards, and then 2 back-to-back sacks. The 3 plays, a total of negative 24 yards with the fumble. So now Duke has the ball back. Pretty rough here. You don't really think you're going to get it at all the rest of the first half. But Duke throws a pick. Caleb Woodson gets a pick Caleb Woodson gets a pick just a couple plays later, and somehow the Hokies actually do get the ball back with 7 seconds in the half. Pretty unreal there. A short pass, incomplete for Pop Watson, and then with a really long potential field goal opportunity, which Love could probably make, definitely be a risky field goal. It was somewhere around the 60-yard mark. And instead of going for the kick, they decide to go for it. And what happens on the 43-yard line? The line immediately collapses. Pop is sacked, and that's the end of the half. Everyone knew the pressure was coming. Clearly, that was a big pattern here. We saw 3 straight against Pop the drive before, the line not holding up, back-to-back sacks, some pretty big loss of yards. And what happens here? Duke rushes again, and they get the sack. I don't understand. The line wasn't playing that good. Why would you not go for it with Love there? It makes no sense. That call makes no sense. It's a close game. Go for the field goal, try and get some points. Instead, the Hokies just pretty much waste time out there, and Pop gets a little bit beat up. Who does that help? Nobody, except for Duke. So, second half, and Duke takes over. Star Thomas touchdown, and then a field goal right after. It's now 31-17. Defense, as usual, caught sleeping to start the second half. Fantastic. Great. You were in a great position. Barely down at all. Then 10 unanswered points. And now all of a sudden you're down 14 right as the second half starts. The Hokies drive up the field, and what do now? Now they decide to go for the field goal. They kick one just outside the red zone. Why not go for it there? You're down 2 scores either way. They get the field goal because Love is automatic and makes it. So now it's 31-20. Well, you still need 2 scores. To tie it up, you would have to make the kick on a field goal to make it 23-31, and then you would have to go for 2 after a touchdown just to tie the game. So why go for the kick there? That doesn't really benefit you much at all. You'd be better off going for it, trying to get the touchdown, and if you don't get it, you don't get it. But it just seems like you should probably be taking a shot to the end zone right there. Because either way, you got to put 2 scores up on the board. And at least if you get the touchdown, then potentially you could be taking the lead with the second touchdown, not tying it up after a 2-point conversion. Seems like that would make a lot more sense to me. So Tech is able to work up after this, and they get Tootin in the end zone, make it a game again, and they do rush Pop in for the 2-point conversion. Now it's a 3-point game. So, like I just said, you get the 8 points on the touchdown and the conversion, but you still need a field goal to tie it or a touchdown to take the lead. So what was the point of the field goal earlier, and why didn't you kick the field goal or try to at the end of the half? I don't really understand that. So couldn't do much on offense. The defense clutched up. They forced a fumble in the red zone. And working towards the end of the game here, it could have been a scoop and score, but they just jumped on it. Now, obviously, Hokies are happy about the fumble. They recover it. They get back possession. They keep Duke from scoring, right there in that high pressure territory right near the red zone. But it could have been a big opportunity to put some points on the board or at least get a big chunk of yards. That execution was incredibly important to the game because you had pretty much an open lane all the way back to the opposing end zone. If you get moving and you just get a couple yard lead ahead of some people, then you got an easy 40 yards out of it, even if someone can catch you. If they can't, you're all the way home free and you just put 6 up on the board. But they jump on top of it. So, not the worst. You forced the fumble, but definitely could have been a lot better there. The execution was key. And, couldn't really get much out of it. Next drive, some pretty crazy play calling. And once again, that typical Hokies game: short pass incomplete, deep pass incomplete, a sack, and they call timeout. And now it's 4th and 13 in the fourth quarter. 1:24 on the clock. So probably game on the line right here. And you're down. Likely the last time you'll be touching the ball. What is the play call? You might say, a deeper pass, something probably at least 7 to 10 yards, and try and get to the first, try and make something happen, right? No, this is what the call is. Goes 1 yard ahead of the line of scrimmage on the pass. 1 yard ahead. Why is that the call? It's 4th and 13, game probably on the line, and you don't throw the ball forward? I mean, it's forward, but barely. Throw the ball forward. That makes no sense. They do actually end up getting the ball back again, but they're not able to hit the deep shots and get into the end zone, so that's game. Pop, one of the only bright spots in this game. Stats weren't particularly awesome, but he played really well, I thought. 12 for 25 on his pass attempts, 1 interception, 146 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 fumble. He did convert on that 2-point conversion, but he was throwing the ball well. He really was throwing the ball well. So a couple of iffy decision makings, a couple of bad passes, but generally speaking, he looked pretty good out there at QB. If the Hokies are able to retain him and develop with him a little bit in the offseason, I wouldn't really feel terrible about that. I wouldn't really have an issue with that at all. I think he played really well for a redshirt freshman, especially in, a tough situation. Down big early in this game, had to come in as the third option usually, but the second option against Duke, and he played really well. So all in all, I'm happy with Papa Watson's performance in this game. It's tough to put up good numbers when the line allows you to get sacked 8 times and you only played like 3 quarters actually on the field, not being the starter. So it's pretty tough to have good numbers when you're getting sacked 8 times, but overall, I think he played well. The defense, an absolute roller coaster. Hard to believe they lost the game with 1 fumble recovery and 3 interceptions, but on the flip side, it's hard to believe that this was even a game at all with nearly 200 yards of Duke offense in the first quarter, and most of it coming off of 2 plays, almost exclusively passing. So just very, very up and down. There was some pretty high highs and some very, very low lows for the defense. Caleb Woodson, I think he's been really good this year. Had that one pick. So Dorian Strong, 2 picks as well. Nice stuff out of him, but generally speaking, kind of a mess outside of a couple of really big plays there. And at this point, honestly, I think people need to get fired. This is pretty insane. This team should not be battling for a bowl game against UVA yet again. They constantly take steps back, and the clock management is so bad. It seems like something that could be an easy fix, but somehow every single game, the Hokies have the ball near the end of the first and or second half, and they find a way to mess it up every single time. It's pretty unbelievable. You can't win close games, and the play calling is so wacky too, it makes no sense. Going back to that end of the game call, why is it a short pass on 4th and 13? Why is Virginia Tech not throwing the ball forward? You have so much space to cover and so little time to do it. The game is likely on the line, although somehow they did end up getting the ball back because Duke seemed to be really just trying to seal the deal, hurrying the offense. But what is this behind the line crap? Throw the ball forward when you need to throw it forward. It makes no sense. And then just the infuriation of watching this team play football. You need to see some change happen. It's really tough. Hokie fans are getting really, really over this stuff. I never thought as a VT student I would be as nervous and as not excited about playing a UVA game at home, but here we are. UVA is bad, yeah, but so is Virginia Tech. I really don't know what to expect next week, but honestly, does it matter? 5-7 or 6-6, I think my feelings and many other people's feelings aren't going to change. This team isn't bad. This staff isn't getting the job done. The chips were dumped all in on football. Everyone bought in on this team, wreaked havoc on some of the other Hokie sports, and what has it left us with? Another bowl battle with UVA.